Hello, Mechwarriors, and welcome to the Mechbay, where we fix your mech and fix your game. What's going on, Mechwarriors? I'm your host, Josh, and then in the hot seat tonight, I've got the co-host with the most, Josh and Denham. What's going on, gentlemen?
Howdy, howdy.
Not much, just hanging out.
And we are coming in hot off our time at the NOVA Open Wargaming Convention in good old Crystal City, Virginia. So before we debrief from 3 days of hot battle mech on battle mech action, and you know what? We're actually going to get rumbling on just some hobby progress because we've got enough content to pack an atlas full. So for hobby progress, what have we been working on this week, boys?
Well, I will tell you, I have actually finished painting mechs because I had to. So I did.
You were legally required.
Legally required. I would not have been allowed to compete if my mechs were not painted with at least 3 colors.
That is a good fire under the butt.
It worked. I mean, I got 7 different models painted. So
nice.
Gosh, 7.
7 in 3 days.
Josh, how about you?
I also finished my guys, but there really wasn't like a lot left to do on them. I think the biggest thing I did was finish painting infantry bases, and the Mechbay Discord decided that decals are cool, but freehands are cooler. So I decided to freehand all of my Comstar logos on all my Comstar mechs that were painted.
Nice. And you can squeeze them into those new greebly places. You also did a little diorama action, right? I think I saw you working on that.
That's probably more of a holdover from my 40K days, that display boards being required for tournaments.
So they were required.
They were required.
Okay, that answers questions of mine because I saw several people with them and several people without. And I'm like, did I miss a memo? Was I supposed to do this? And I'm glad to hear that it's just a 40K holdover. So
I'll be doing one because it helps with your painting scores or whatever. But anyways, I saw you working on that board.
Like even non-Battletech players can walk over and see a whole bunch of, mechs that are on terrain on a board of that same terrain, and it looks good. Like it just looks good and looks professional. So that's like the purpose of the display board, as well as it can bump you up like a point or 2 for your painting scores if like you did equivalent stuff. But most painting things aren't going to be scoring you on the display board itself. It's more like a showing off thing in the positive sense.
Yeah.
Cool. They look good. The ones I saw look good.
You get to do a diorama. Like, who doesn't like to? Isn't that a thing people like to do?
It's a thing in 7th grade. Yeah.
But mine took a while. I think I probably spent more time on the weekend before working on the display board, as in getting green stuff to, make little hills that would fit on my mechs, and water effect and bushes and rocks and trees. Like making trees by hand. Probably never going to do that again. Still look great, but they're getting recycled.
They did. They look nice.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the big thing was the interstate sign that says "Welcome to Tukid," but instead it says "Welcome to Hell" because it
was fantastic,
graffitied over.
Yeah.
So I'll put a picture of that if you haven't seen it. But that was I've painted most of these mechs. I'm just doing finishing touches. Now I need to work on the display board.
Honestly, it should be the podcast picture for the Facebook page for this one.
Fine.
Jeez. No, I mean the ones I worked on, I finished up my Smoke Jaguars. The spots, the spots have been bothering me for almost a year now.
We've had multiple painting people on to help you with these spots, and you still needed more help.
We did. We like some of them helped with the
Who's
brushes.
This
we the podcast got a lot of help.
The royal we.
Yes, that one. Look, the shape was fine, but the colors were all off. And thankfully, Dan from Oil Spill Painting Studios, he's on our Discord. He just looked at mine and he's like, "Oh, those are great, except for the colors. You need these colors." And he was awesome. So I think my mechs look way better because of his help. So thank you, Dan. I appreciate it.
But so that was pretty much it. I've had some post-Nova hobby progress where I've assembled all the models I got from that. So
nice.
What's it? Like a Malifaux dude, an Infinity dude, and I've got now a 40K Kill Team box, which, maybe I'll decide what to do with that.
Was that like an impulse buy or something?
No, I mean, if you go and you can actually get some free swag, thankfully.
Oh.
So like, yeah.
Yeah, that came in your little Nova bag, right?
Yeah, my Nova, thanks for registering really early bag.
That's pretty cool.
This is when I asked, Dustin, did you get any hobby progress done? They besides more she shed building?
Yes, I have worked some stuff in on the margins because I have to. I have to prepare for my tournament. I've been making some trophies.
Ooh.
So I am about done with those, and you guys will see photos soon. I will be using my trophy photos to, hype my own event or whatever. But yeah, I've been working on those.
I saw them in person, and they are really good.
All right, that's enough hobby progress. So you all got to go off to Nova 2-day tournament of Alpha Strike, right? How was it?
It was good.
Yeah. Do tell me, what is Nova? I've never heard this acronym before. Is it an acronym?
It's short for Northern Virginia, but
yeah, it's an abbreviation
of Northern Virginia. Oh, yeah. That's cool.
Nova is technically the NOVA Open Tabletop Wargaming Convention.
Okay.
Yeah, it's technically 4 actual days of war games, seminars, activities. It's pretty much the East Coast mecca for events, I'd say. Yeah, I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, it looked pretty awesome. You guys were, sending me little photos and stuff. I had a little bit of FOMO. Did you have fun? Did you guys have fun out there?
I think when it was all said and done with, I actually had a great time.
Whoa.
Josh, did you have a good time? I know this was Tournament Josh out there, so
yeah, it was 100% Tournament Josh out there.
The problem was it took a while for Tournament Josh to take back over because I had a really rough morning when I was going to Nova and literally stepped on a piece of glass that the Aztecs left on the hangar bay. And I'm not saying stepped on a piece of glass and had a limp. I'm stepped on a shard of cockpit glass and had to go to the doctor to have it removed surgically. Yeah. So
the morning of
I was delayed because I was planning on going up Wednesday to go up, relax, kind of vibe, and then start to transition into Tournament Josh as in my cocoon in the hotel room. But so I was a little delayed on that. And I'll be honest, Wednesday and Thursday, I probably wasn't in the best of moods just because of that. But by the end of it, I'll agree with Denham. I was having a great time.
That's good. Or what kind of prep work did you guys do before heading out to Nova?
Well, I played my first 3 games at Alpha Strike before in the weeks leading up to it.
It's good to prep, at least know the rules.
Well, that's just it. I played some games to absorb the rules, and then I just read the rule book cover to cover, so that when I did go, I mean, I didn't know them 100%, but I knew them pretty darn well, and that's important to me when I'm going to a tournament is knowing the rules.
Yeah, it's also good when you do the cover to cover thing. It doesn't. Well, for me, it doesn't all stick, but the bits are there and you can be like, wait a second, I read about that part, and you can kind of go back and
I can't do one or the other. I have to do both. I have to both have read the rules and played a couple games.
Oh yeah.
It meshes together.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I can't preach enough about the rulebook game cycle. It's the quickest way.
Yep.
Josh, your prep, I know you've got a list. You've got the water, you're going to hydrate. Don't want to dehydrate.
That was actually really important because water in Northern Virginia is expensive.
Oh my goodness!
Excuse me.
Okay, that's we had some extra stress there because of that I did not need while playing this tournament.
I was fine.
Yeah. Well, I had left my big, huge, giant water bottle on the table next to my sweatshirt when I left, so it was sitting over there. I'm like, fine, I'll get a bottle of water. And I wasn't paying attention because they did this ticket thing there. And I bought this little tiny itty bitty, I want to say it was like a 6 to 8 ounce bottle for $6. It was 6, but it was tickets. So I didn't notice until after I had already bought it. And I was walking away and I'm like, wait a minute, tickets are how much? I spent how much on this bottle? So I had this little tiny bottle that I kept going around to the water fill stations and just filling that up like 400 times over the weekend so that I didn't have to buy another one. I was so mad, so stressed.
All the Hydra homies cried out.
Yeah, it was annoying. It was. but I got over it.
Nobody gave out tumblers or cool. I don't know. What do you call the cups? The thermos. Nobody's giving out swag thermoses.
In the swag bag, it was like this metal oversized shot glass, and that was even less than 6 ounces.
That's worse.
So, yeah, it's horrible.
That's for shooting coolant, not for shooting water.
That's right.
But no, I think that's a big thing that I was more aware of that Denham wasn't, is the NOVA Open Charity Foundation. It's like the other half of the NOVA Open convention. And so things are a little bit elevated in prices for the charity donation event. So
dude, that was a little bit elevated for Disney prices.
This year it was autism awareness, I believe. And I know that there was probably a little bit of shakeup just because the NOVA Open had been closed the last 2 years for COVID. So this was like their first year back in a while. So I know they had some leadership changeovers and everything, but just be prepared.
Yeah. Yep. Information is ammunition.
All right, Josh, I'm going to be real with you. I have no idea what getting you up to speed is, but could you get me up to speed?
So the folks at Death Ray Designs were the ones actually putting on the Battletech event at NOVA. They had put out a mission packet with, semi-unique list composition restrictions. So this has actually been asked a couple of times to me, and it's with the biggest thing that we normally do being the Southern Assault 350, and then the opposite side of this coin, which is the Wolfnet 350. This was a little bit different for everything. So this was 250 plain 250 and different unit number restrictions. So it was just a little different in the fact of you couldn't take one of these other lists that you might play locally.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
And just shove it in. Like you had to kind of build from the ground up a NOVA Open Battletech list.
Yeah, it was a lighter list.
I was happy for it because I had never done an Alpha Strike tournament, so this was kind of nice and bite-sized for me to get my teeth around.
Yeah, 350 is meaty. It's not too much, but it's plenty.
It's so nothing though. Like in the grand scheme of models on the table, it's like 8, 10, maybe 9.
Yeah, but the game still took like a solid 2 hours. So
yeah,
c'est la vie. That's okay, Josh. We'll do our 1,000-point Alpha Strike tournament weekend one day.
You mean like Cataphract 40 on the Discord doing his 5,000?
I did not see
PV.
that.
Yeah,
I have been so knees deep in She Shed world that I literally haven't had time to look at, like, I'm sure as you're aware, like, where's Dustin? He doesn't read messages anymore.
But I will say the NOVA, just like Southern Assault, is with alternating activations. So I move a unit, you move a unit, we finish all that, and then I shoot a unit, then you shoot a unit, rather than
which is
I shoot everything.
How it is in the book.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was fire for effect, right?
Yes.
So you could use 5 mechs, get something off the table, and then switch targets.
Yep.
Which
I think is the better way for tournament play. So no one's spending 20 minutes. If you're playing for time, I think fire for effect, which is the rule that the Battletech Championship circuit that it was in Atlantic City Open essentially described or named it as, where instead of declaring and everyone's shooting and then shooting and
weapons,
resolving, you just pick one mech, shoot that mech, then the opponent picks a mech and shoots a mech.
All right, you know how I feel about eliminating that essential step in BattleTech. After playing a tournament, no, I'm all for it for tournaments. When you're trying to play a game in under 2 hours, it just doesn't matter enough for that amount of time in the infinitesimally small instances where it would be a problem. Like there are so many other things that are a bigger concern than that in that time frame. So tournament play, I am totally fine using the fire for effect.
Technically we use fire for effect for our campaigns too when we play with multiple pleo. So you know what? Denham says the only time where you should play by the actual rules is on standard rulebook pickup games.
Yep. There we go.
Is that why BattleTech takes so long then?
Yes.
So
it takes so long.
So we should think about just moving fire for effect as the normal house rule.
No,
Declarations don't matter anymore.
I enjoy it so much. I would miss it. If I never played with it, I would miss it a lot.
Yeah, but you'd also get twice as many games in.
All right. Let's get back to the tournament. All right. So we got the list size. We got 250 points. We got fire for effect. What else do we have? Anything of note?
Must have at minimum 4 mechs. So,
okay.
Yeah. There was an era limit of between 2781, so immediately after Star League, so essentially Succession War, to end of Clan Invasion, so 3061.
Right. And I think no experimentals.
No experimentals, just like most people play.
Yeah.
Except for Josh,
Super Griffin.
I would have taken it if I could have. You may not include more than 2 copies of any one mech or vehicle chassis. May include up to 5 infantry units. And they may be the same type. That was key for my stuff. Yeah.
Interesting.
So you could have 5 of the exact same battle armor.
Yep.
Or infantry, which are technically battle armor. May not include more than 2 VTOL units. And faction requirements are not in play, but bonus style points for trying.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. And I feel like most of the time people they play the flavor.
Yeah, everybody there had a faction of some sort.
There were max 2 skill 2 and max skill 7, and no restrictions in between for skill 3 to skill 6.
Okay.
And
was it 2 7s max?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 7s and 2 2s, and everything else was unlimited.
Okay.
And I think the biggest other one is you had to declare 1 mech to be your force commander, and that played out as the tiebreaker for missions 1 through 4, and then was the focus for mission 5.
Nice.
Yeah. They brought that in nicely for the last mission.
So I will link this PDF into the show notes so people at home can play the Nova Open missions, and then they can listen along and see if they have thoughts. But yeah, that was it, because there was no, advanced units, and this was played with no specialty ammos, no pilot or command abilities, and no formation bonuses. So pretty standard, what I want to call tournament mechs required.
All right, so that's the format. You guys want to talk about go over your list real quick? Kind of what's in it, what you were going for?
Okay, my list was basic. I took a star of clan mechs, and then I added on 2 points of elementals. So I had the Timberwolf A, and I had the Loki B, the Mongrel B, the Ice Ferret A, the Adder A, and 2 5-man squads of Flamer elemental battle armor.
Those Flamers are good.
The Flamers were key. Mm-hmm. Totally worth the 1 point extra that they were.
Oh, yeah. Those are the ones I ran in Southern Assault last year.
They were amazing.
Yeah. So did you have like a strategy plan, or was it mostly fluffy, or both?
No, it was not fluffy at all. I just happened to pick all clan mechs for this iteration, and I needed practice painting Smoke Jaguars, so I made them all Smoke Jaguar. But it was specifically built to be a mobile force that was good at harassment, but could also hold an objective when it needed to.
Okay. Are these skill 3?
They're all skill 4. Every single one of them is skill 4.
Skill 4. Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. My aside from a few things that Josh brought when we were doing our practice games, I quickly realized that if you made someone lower than a skill 4, the number of times they fire per mission doesn't pay for the skill decrease, especially if they get killed early. So skill 4 just saved enough points, but was also good enough to get those 7s and 8s that you might actually have a chance of hitting.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on your list?
Yeah, the elementals turned out to be super key. I mean, they are great for contesting strategic points or harassing heavier high damage output enemy mechs. They will just mess them up all day long. If they get in their rear and they can't outrun them, it's super distracting, and it just ruins the enemy strategy, and that's key to winning. That's my list, and it did its job.
Nice.
Yeah. For my practice games, I was a little surprised you stuck with the Timberwolf just because we had discussed it being a little too pricey.
Yep. And I did. I swapped it out. I swapped it out like 3 times, and then I swapped it back in 4 times. So I decided to just stick with it, and I'm actually super glad I did. I think the whole list lacked punch without it.
No, I mean, yeah, because it's a 7/7, 7 in short range, 7 in medium.
Yeah, 7/7/3. Oh my goodness, it has overheat.
I mean, it is a Timberwolf A.
I never used it. Never used overheat on that. Yeah, but it's got lots of armor, a decent amount of structure, a lot of damage, and it moves 10. So it's not like it's a slow guy. Yeah. It's just expensive. It was 59 points for a skill 4.
That is pricey, but it's a Timberwolf A.
Yeah, it's over 20% of my entire cost for just that one mech.
If I know Denham, I know that he likes the Timberwolf A. Did you model the A? Does it
no, I didn't.
Such dishonor. Dishonor.
I am so disappointed in myself for not.
Don't you have like 3 of them laying around?
No, I have 0. I have
okay.
parts. I have parts of 3 of them laying around. They're not assembled.
That's even worse. You had
it's
so much time to make an A specifically for this.
Yeah, I just wasn't happy with it.
Okay. All right.
Next time.
All right. Josh, you want to go over your list?
Yeah. So real quick, Denham, who was your commander? Because that.
Oh yes, that was actually very important. My commander was the Mongrel. With its 14 jump, I could get a TMM of 4. It has decent armor and good firepower, so I figured that my commander should be the more mobile one rather than the heaviest hitting one. And as we'll find out later, I'm super glad I did that.
Nice. Okay. All right, Josh, back to you.
So for my list, I started with a Kintaro 19B, a Black Knight 9, the Clan Buster variant, the ShadowHawk 2HT, which is the Clan Buster variant, the new one from the 2-Kid, a Wolverine 7K, a Raijin 101A, a Phoenix Hawk 1BC, the Clan Buster variant, a Mercury 99, a Pegasus Scout Hover Tank unarmed at skill 7, and then 4 units of foot level 1, which are technically half units with flamers for a balmy 250 on the money. And the infantry are all skill 5.
Nice. The infantry are like 0-star flamer or something?
They are 1 damage with 1 heat.
Okay.
And they have 3 health. And at skill 5, they are 3 points.
That is impressive.
Move of 2 inches, I believe.
Move of 2 inches. TMM of 0.
Yep.
Cargo 2.
Cargo 2. Is there, you had something to put them in?
The Pegasus.
The Pegasus Hover Scout Tank has Cargo 12 and can fit all
easily
4s.
Yeah. What was your theory crafting? What was your list supposed to do?
Oh, my theory crafting was this is a post-2-Kid invasion list that just got its Raijin, because I kind of centered this around a new Raijin Unseen that Mr. Brute sent me, and I painted up for like a showpiece. And I was like, I'm just going to use all of my Comstar because I took Clan to the last tournament. Let's see if I can do it with Comstar.
Nice.
I had been working
Tactics-wise? Standard Josh tactics?
What is standard Josh tactics?
I don't know.
Exactly. No, I had 2 thoughts making it, and I was like, I want to take a very thematic list. So I have 12 units. So I was like, I have 2 level 2s technically, if not counting the half troops as halves, then it's a true, 2 Comstar squads.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is it's a lot of Clan Buster, like the Black Knight, the ShadowHawk, the Phoenix Hawk are all the Comstar special variants. And then, of course, the Raijin and Kintaro and Mercury are also things you would have seen around, too.
Yeah.
So
it was the billboard. It was the mech list version, the combined arms version of Welcome to Hell. Welcome to 2-Kid.
Yeah. And
Nice.
that was kind of the idea. I was, okay, what's left from Tukid and throw it in a list. I will say, tactics-wise, I wanted to take much more medium focus. Like, I wanted to focus more on a mobility list. 4 of my mechs jump, like, are mediums and jump. The others, either the Mercury is just a fast scout and the Kintaro stays back and just does Kintaro cool things, and the Black Knight's up there in the middle with the lowest TMM of 1.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
So yeah, mine was a try to build a medium weight level 2.
All right. Do we want to move on to pregame?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So did you do anything before you guys started playing the lists? Is you don't show up, roll out of the car and start rolling tournament dice, right?
Right. It was close for me. I didn't show up until Thursday night.
Oh,
so
wow.
I basically showed up, I went to bed, I woke up, and I rolled dice in the tournament.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even with the injured foot, you managed to get in there like a day early, right, Josh?
I got there Wednesday night, so I got my stuff unpacked, crashed, had my mental breakdown, and then woke up Thursday ready to
reassembled.
Yeah. Well, maybe I will say reassembled. But Thursday was open play, so that was meet and greet. Essentially, everyone that came up wanted to play BattleTech. I did some seminars that day, other non-BattleTech event things, but the big thing was the open play, and I got to play Audio Weasel, who's on the Discord, for my first pregame.
Shout out.
So yeah, I fought Audio Weasel and his Kellhounds, and that was like a 150 point, fun game. I think it was my first time playing Alpha Strike for real for a while, and I think they hadn't played in a while either. So that was a good, shake the rust off game. His Kellhounds did real well and kicked my butt. So I was like, oh no, is this, the premonition of how this entire weekend's going to be? Because I will go back home right now.
I show up right as Josh is leaving, and I'm like, hey.
So anything else before game day?
I got 2 games in on my pre-day. Yeah. And my second game was against another player / listener. That's Rubio. And I fought his Lance. That's right. 200 PV against the Lance. And he took, he took a Grand Titan, a Banshee, and 2 longbows.
Against your list? Against
200 points.
Yeah. I dropped the Raijin and the infantry, which was essentially I'm not going to take these for practice. The first time they get used must be for the tournament. No more.
Yeah.
Because those were like
go with.
So that was going well. We had a drop in for someone who wasn't planning on playing BattleTech, but was able to, and that was Justin. Justin rolled up, and I slid half my mechs to him, and I was like, cool, these are yours now. Start rolling.
Nice.
Let's go.
The only thing that died was the Kintaro in that game, and I was like, I shouldn't be doing this well, but
it's better than your previous one, so I guess it kind of evened out.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is just not having any screening units to stop me, because by the end of it, I was literally in their deployment corner, with both their longbows on their back edge.
Yeah, mobility is key in this game. It really is.
Assaults are good, but you need a couple lights and mediums to make sure that they don't get overrun.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. But yeah, those are my 2 pre-game, pre-day things. I then went to the Games Workshop dry brushing class.
Nice.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I really hope they're not going to make me paint a Primaris Space Marine or a Stormcast. Joke's on you.
What did you expect?
That's what everyone tells me.
What did you expect?
I don't know. Something else, maybe.
Nope.
No, but you got to paint your Primaris Marine?
Yeah, so they taught us how to do lava effects through dry brushing, which was really cool because that's something I've always wanted to kind of learn, and then working my way up through glazing and dry brushing. So nice. Yeah, in an hour, I had an entire Space Marine from base all the way to the top of the head done, at a good level of effort.
Yeah.
And at that time, Denham had texted me and was like, "Hey, I'm at the hotel. Where do I go? I don't have a key."
I got in. It's all good.
But yeah, so that was the end of my day one.
Nice. All right, so game day, right?
Game day.
Wake up, slap some water in your face, say "Who's the man" 3 times into the mirror, right?
And have a healthy breakfast. Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, we hung out with Dan from Listening to Paint Dry, who was on for our quote, Listening to Mech's Dry episode, and who was also running the Capital Palette painting competition for the Nova Open. So everyone who wanted to enter, whether it be dioramas, bust, or models or squads, had to go to Dan, hand this man their models, and expect him to give them back.
He was pretty busy all weekend.
Yeah,
that is
bet.
so.
But it was really nice to hang out with him. He was sad that he couldn't, because he was running, he could not play Battletech. And he was very sad about that.
But we hung out when we could, and it was nice.
Yeah.
It was nice meeting him in person.
I was like, Dustin had played him, and I've went to dinner with him. And then I was like, oh yeah, Denham wasn't there at Southern Assault.
Yep.
No, it was not.
Yeah, Dan's a cool guy. Yep. So after breakfast, game 1, right?
Game 1.
Just get into it. The nitty gritty. So you just kind of want to go over the mission and then kind of go over each of your experiences with the game?
Yeah. So
all right.
Mission 1 was Convoy Escort, and the objective for this mission is to eliminate your opponent's 4 convoy trucks while simultaneously escorting your 4 trucks off the opponent's table edge.
Interesting.
And, yeah.
All right. You guys want to kind of go over the highlights of your games?
Yeah.
Well, your game 1, since we're in game 1 right now. So
right. Mine is pretty short.
All right.
Yeah, I sent my convoy straight down my side with 2 escorts. I believe I had the Puma and the Loki escorted my 4 convoys, and everybody else went over to the other side of the table to find choke points to stop his convoy from going in a straight line. And it worked. Like my units got off the table 2 or 3 turns before his, or what was left of his convoy, got off the table. So he managed to destroy 1 of my trucks, but I got 3 of mine off, and I destroyed, I think, 3 of his before the last one finally escaped eventually.
So two escort mechs, and then 3, the rest of the star, and the 2 points of elementals went to.
Right. And the elementals were key in blocking. Like I'd get my mechs there and they'd drop the elementals, and we just find a choke point and just spread out so that he could not go down that alleyway.
Not physically.
Couldn't go between those buildings. Just he had to turn around, find another way.
Throw in reverse.
Yep.
Nice. Josh?
I pretty much just put all my vehicles down on the corner, like edge, like with a little bit of maneuverability wiggle room, I'd say, and was just like, cool, you're on your own, kids. I got a battle to fight.
Oh wow! So you just didn't escort. You ran offensive escort duty.
I ran offensive escort duty. Like, I will freely admit, I put the Black Knight because it was the slowest thing I had there, and the trucks move 8 and the Black Knight moves 8, and I was like, cool, you're literally the only thing that can deal with anything there. I played Keith, and Keith brought his Clan Wolf list with a bunch of 2Cs. They were excellent. He had the Nova Cat with all the indirect fire. That was the scary thing that I had to like shift my plans for, though. Because, well, all he needs is to spot, and then he can do, 5 or 6 damage indirect. And I was like, eeh.
I have 6 or 5? Dang.
Yeah. And he had 2 dashers with 2 elementals, one of the like just taxi dashers and one of the 5 damage dashers. And I hate to say it, but you know what kills a dasher and it's battle armor?
The same thing that kills everything else.
A Pegasus with 4 units of skill 5 infantry hopping out of it behind it.
And yeah, I forgot to mention my opponent was Russell Mobes. And he also had one of the Dasher H's with the 5 short range damage. That was actually the one thing that did kill one of my units. When used right, which he was doing the best he could with it, that little mech is really, really good. He also had 2 of the battle armors, not the flamer type though, just the regular kind.
So the Dasher H, a bit of a monster in Classic and in Alpha Strike.
I'm a fan of it in Alpha Strike. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so I had to fight Keith like with my mobility because he had 6 damage Marauder 2C and 6 damage Nova Cat B. I was like, I can't fight toe to toe, so
any one of those mechs could delete you in one turn.
Exactly.
Like,
so I had to play
units.
very fast, very mobile. I think the big thing is that I realized I did the math and I was like, I have 2 turns to destroy 2 or 3 vehicles to win. And I was like, all right, I got to stop shooting, mechs and I have to start guarding trucks.
Exactly.
I have to start shooting the enemy trucks while focusing to get mine off. And I was able to get 3 trucks off and lose 1 due to I don't even want to say a good tactic by mine, but like a split fire weird roll where he just couldn't hit at that range.
Right. Yeah, that's the same thing I was doing. I was like, I look like I'm going to get this many trucks off. Therefore, I need to destroy that many trucks to win. And after a while, it was like I was just sacrificing mechs just to do damage to a truck. So my forces came out obliterated, but you're playing the objectives, you're not playing to save mechs. So in the end, the points are what mattered.
Well, those warriors got their glory on the battlefield, so that's all that counts.
They did.
All right, we ready to move on to game 2?
I will say that me and Denham both won our mission 1.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. So, okay, then I'll cut that and move that. So mission 2 was seize the intel, and what's it? There are 3 objectives, one in your corner, one in the middle, and one in the opponent's corner. And the goal is to get all of the objectives onto your table edge or deployment zone, 10 inches from your table edge. I'll say that.
Yep.
So you could move these ones?
You could move these ones. The key difference being
mechs could pick them up. Could vehicles pick these up?
Mechs could pick them up, but they could not do anything.
Right.
They could not shoot. Yeah.
So a mech sprint, they couldn't shoot.
Yeah. So it was kind of like that one bad mission at Southern Assault where, your mech has to stand still for a turn. This wasn't that, but it was your mech can't shoot, spot, or sprint.
Yeah.
Right. And then once they had it, they just couldn't sprint. They could still move and shoot.
Yeah.
While they were carrying it. But if they sprinted, they would drop it before they sprinted.
Okay.
Middle one, or your objective being in your zone was worth 1. The middle objective being in your zone was worth 2. And your opponent's objective was worth 3 if you could bring it all the way back to your side.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
This one was my most difficult match. It was I played against Matt LeBaron.
Mm-hmm.
He had a good army. He had the Kingfisher H, the Goshawk B, the Linebacker D, the Hunchback 2C2, Dragonfly Prime. He had 2 of those.
Those are
no
good mechs.
infantry, no battle armor, but he had a very good set of mechs.
I bet those dragonflies did work in that mission.
They absolutely they did work. It was a very, very tough mission that literally came down to a coin toss for us. This was my one game that went basically to time. Due to how the game came out, it was a coin flip and I lost. But it was one of my favorite matches of the entire tournament. It was super exciting, nail biting. Props to Matt, and he pulled a victory out on that one.
I am just as happy with a tight game that ends in a loss than I am with a win in a tight game or a blowout. I love a good.
I can honestly say I learned more from this game than I did from any of the other games that I played there that weekend.
Nice.
So mission accomplished.
All right. And Josh, how about you? How was your game 2?
Oh man, so I fought Craig and I fought his Comstar.
Mirror Ace. We got Spider-Man.
Yeah, it was very much the Spider-Man meme. We had 2 different ideas on lists, though. He took the super elite Comstar, with the 6 units, and me with the 12 units. So,
okay.
He had 2 skill 2 mechs, and the rest were skill 3. He had a a Marauder CS, for its skill 2, Stalker 5M at skill 2, and Black Knight 9, Archer 5 CS, Stinger 5M, and Wasp 1W. So we're looking very at the elite level here, almost clan price.
How did it play out?
Oh man, like it definitely felt weird because turn 1 he shoots my Phoenix Hawk that had jumped on a building, like at medium range, just gone, like deleted.
Ooh.
I was like, okay, was not expecting to lose next turn 1 that were my most mobile.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Like it wasn't even like shot by all of them, but he killed it, and I was like, okay, change of plans, swarm the objective, go for that.
Yep, record scratch.
So I put my ShadowHawk in the middle objective, which is probably my most tanky. Actually, it is my most tanky mech. That's kind of weird, but it is. 10 health.
Yeah.
I put it directly on the objective. He puts a Stinger and Wasp right on the objective, like within, not base to base, but pretty much right on me. And that's when Justin walks by and he's like, hey, how's this game going? And I was like, not great, but I'm about to drop infantry. So I scoot the infantry transport. I drop the 4 troops right on the back arc of the Stinger and Wasp. And I was like, all right, they're skill 5 shooting into woods because the middle objective was in woods. The Stinger Wasp jump for 3, so I need 9s. I need 9s for everything within 6 inches. I was like, I rolled all 9s.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So
hot dice.
It was very hot. Justin was there watching me roll each one. So when the TO is watching you roll and you're like, hey, it's not that bad. Oh, I win. Oh, I win. Oh, God, stop. No more. So that was when I did the, 6 damage with and 4 heat because I hit everything.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I had killed the Stinger, so I wasn't prepared. So the other 2 weren't even in the back arc of the Wasp. That was, I don't want to say that's when the game completely swung for me, but that's when the game completely swung for me. Sure. I moved my Mercury behind his Archer that was standing still because that's a 4-6-5 for short, medium, long damage. And at skill 3, it's, shooting on 2, so even medium range is nothing.
Yeah.
I put my Mercury behind it. Like I was like, okay, let's see if he'll divert heavy mech for it. And I got a crit and hit his fire control the same turn. Mercury dies to the Marauder. I was like, fine, do it. But that buys me another turn.
Worth it, yeah.
Yeah, I then get the Kintaro to get a crit on the Stalker and ammo explosion. And he was like, Justin was like, tell me you have case, Craig. And he was like, I don't have case. And it's just I don't have case. Oh, God. So at this point, he's got a fire-controlled Archer, a Black Knight that's completely out of position, and a Marauder. That's it. And I have only lost 1
Phoenix
mech.
Hawk.
Yeah, only a Phoenix Hawk. I was like, rough. Oh, man, I was completely prepared for this game to go sideways, and it just went completely to me. So
Dice Gods were with you.
The Dice Gods were with me. Like, I felt bad because I was like, this would have been a much closer game of me having to, like, wear down and fight over them. Like, was very comfortable getting the medium objective. I'd like to think that's what my list was designed to do, is put 4 highly mobile medium mechs onto a 10-inch or 12-inch objective, and just cool, you can't kill 4 of them, you can kill 3, the other one's going to grab it. But was not expecting to completely kill everything. So I tabled Craig. It was a great game, but I think this was the skill 2 is great, but skill 2 dies just as fast as skill 4.
It does.
In my limited experience with Southern Assault, the skill 2s seemed, like you said, just not quite worth it. Skill 3, not so bad. Skill 2, a little expensive, but that was game 2. Yeah. Moving on.
So
how was
me and Denham both, or I won mine, Denham lost his.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I did, but I made it's the friends you make along the way.
That's right.
Wait, you make friends while you're playing tournaments? Man, I'm doing this wrong.
You are doing it wrong.
So we got game 3, mission 3.
Game 3.
Mission 3, hold the zones. And it's kind of the same as the last one, except the objectives don't move this time.
Okay.
Right. You've got 3 of them.
They're all in the center row. They're all 16 inches away from each other.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So the classic king of the hill in the middle of the map, baby.
With 2 on the sides.
Yeah, with 2 tinier hills on the sides.
Right. I guess there's multiple hills. Yes, king of the hill is usually one hill. I'm sorry. Multiple hills.
King of the multiple hills.
Yes.
Yeah. Basically, king of the center.
Yeah, this is... All right, never mind. Gonna make a Vietnam joke, but maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. Too soon. Still too soon. All right.
But you scored this one progressively. Yeah. So for this mission, you could secure the objective by just having more units within 2 inches of it. Yeah. And each objective that you scored per turn was worth 1 point. So 8 turns, you could max score 3 objectives per turn. So that was really it.
Yeah.
Cool. And how did it go?
I played James Richardson. He had a very missile-heavy list. He had the Stalker 5M at skill 2, an Archer 2R at skill 2, 2 catapults at skill 3, and then he had some spotter mechs. He had a Locust, a Commando, and a Stinger. All lower skill, but they're good for spotting for indirect fire.
So a lot of IF.
Yeah. Well, he sent his Locust to the rightmost point. He left the leftmost point unguarded, and then everything else just advanced towards the center. So it was a huge group of heavy missile firing mechs coming right down the center. I captured the 2 far ones, and then I got a cockpit crit on the skill 2 Stalker, turn 1.
And so many points.
His line started to crumble because then turn 2, I was able to get my my fast mechs in and drop flamer infantry behind his other mechs, and when you've got missile heavy mechs that are way too hot to fire, it broke his center, and then he got a points deficit that he could not make up. Bit of bad luck on that. I think it would have gone very differently if that Stalker, because that Stalker's got 15 points of damage that it can take, and it does 6 points at medium range and 5 at short. It's just
roll 12s and win.
To take that one out at the beginning, that was key. Try to do that every time if you can. That once again felt a little bit bad, but you can't help crits.
Yep. So you guys had crit dice. This is my crit dice, and if you rolled the 12 on that was your crit.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we were doing multiple attack rules.
Right. Yeah.
And so you had to designate one pair of them to be the crit. Only that pair could get the crit.
Yep.
Correct.
And so crit more, win.
Yep. So that one, I definitely won that one. But James is a good guy. He was fun to play against.
All right, Josh, and how about your game?
I played Steven and his Ghost Bears. Oh, man. This was a rough one for me. It was just a lot of firepower and, I don't want to say oppressive mobility, but, I'll be happy if I never see another Dasher H for a long time. Dasher H's and Dragonfly E's, I don't need them. I don't need to see them.
So the Dasher H was the Wolfen of this tournament?
Yes. Dasher. It's either that or the Dragonfly. I'm almost going to say Dragonflies were a little bit more oppressive for me.
Dragonflies are that +4,
Yeah.
Was it 16 inches, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I ran one. I know that beast. I ran the Prime, but,
But yeah, Steven took a Kodiak, a Thor C, a Dasher H, a Dragonfly E, a Loki F, and 1 unit of elemental battle armor with micro pulse lasers.
Interesting. Pulse lasers. Okay.
Yeah. So turn 1, I essentially split all my forces equally because there's 3 objectives in the center line. I was like, okay, half or a third to one, a third to the middle, and a third to the far right one. And that did not work out well for me. I thought he would be able to split, or I thought it would force him to split his forces and commit to 1 or 2. And then I would regroup and do some cool war game maneuvering, but that never actually happened. I was unable to kill the Dragonfly on turn 1. I missed all of my infantry that jumped out to grab that. And I was like, okay, I kind of needed 1 rear hit on this one, guys. So I really struggle to apply damage this game, and I think that's just because I split my forces, because I don't have a lot of dice to rely on in this list for damage. I need focus firing and, quote, fire for effect as a rule to kind of carry me through.
Yeah.
I hit the dasher, I only do 1 damage, so the entire game, like, it's still running around doing 5 damage. I will say this dasher and the battle armor are skill 5. So, like,
interesting.
They're a little less pricey, but when you get within things that only have short damage, I don't think need to be skill 4 or 3. I think skill 5 is okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you need like 7s and 8s against most things, and you're doing 5 most of the times in the rear because it moves so fast. And then if it also drops battle armor, bonus.
Yeah.
And as long as it has the battle armor on it, then it has potential armor, because any hits that it takes, 5 or a 6 hits the elemental instead.
The Dasher H is running with a TMM4, I assume.
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
Yeah. The Kodiak took the center, which was the right move. It held up in woods. It didn't get on the objectives. It's just, if I got on objectives, it punished me for it. I'm trying to think. Yeah, the Raijin, the ShadowHawk, the Phoenix Hawk, they all kind of got bullied. Just focus fired down, because, I mean, each side was essentially doing like roughly 10 damage to whatever was on one of those objectives. So I just couldn't compete with that level of firepower. And by the end of it, we actually hit time on this, and that was not because we were slow playing, but just because it was like that intense of a measure out and roll dice and see what happens and then apply it. Like, it was an intense game with Steven. It came down to a perfect tie for us because neither of us could kill the enemy's commander when we hit time.
Interesting.
I mean, you had me like throwing my empty skill 7 hovercraft at objectives just to try to cancel his scoring out. Like, that was how intense it was. But
so what, you needed like 30 more minutes to pull out the win, or?
Oh no! Honestly, if this had gone on another turn, I would have probably lost, because
rough.
Yeah, Steven was an excellent player. That was more on me, and I think that was something I learned in the practice games and completely like disregarded for this mission, which was don't split your forces, because splitting my forces worked against you, Denham, for each objective.
Were our practice games.
Yeah, in our practice games.
We never played against each other in this tournament.
No, thankfully no. In the sense of,
I agree.
Yeah, but we had practiced this exact mission, and it worked for me to split all of my forces. And at the tournament, it did not work. And I think that's just who you're playing and how they put it, because you kind of shifted your heavy mechs to the sides, and Steven shifted his to the middle.
Right.
Which gave him the ability to put either objective at range.
Yep. Positioning was key in this mission.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got outplayed, and like I said, came down to a tie when the time hit, and that was it.
So we got game 3. Is this when you guys break for lunch?
This is when we
broke for lunch after game 1. Yeah, this was it for that day. This was like 7 hours of game time.
I was going to say,
for that one,
5 games in a day. So this is a 2-day thing.
Right.
That's good. All right. So game 4.
Well, then we had dinner. And
okay.
And then
wait, so you broke after game 3?
Yeah.
That was
right. That was the end of the day. We had dinner. We went to sleep. We woke up, had another healthy breakfast, and then went back to it. I think I had eggs Benedict that morning.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
The quote $6 water and $18 eggs Benedict. That was one of the worst eggs Benedicts I've ever had.
Oh no, they used the canned hollandaise.
I don't know what they use, but those are over medium, or those are over hard, and eggs Benedict is over medium, sir.
Correct. I think my eggs were a little runnier than yours, but it was still not to the level. They were overcooked, like just flat out.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Eggs Benny needs a delicate touch. Yeah.
But then it was time for game 4.
Game 4. Give it to me, boys.
Oh man, mission 4 was Karnov down, and
I love this one.
There was a crashed Karnov as the center objective, and 4 infantry objectives, like in an X shape around it. So any unit could hold the Karnov objective, and any non-infantry unit could detain/rescue the infantry. And the goal with that was pick up the infantry by not shooting, spotting, or doing anything, and then get them off the board for 5 points, get them to your deployment zone for 3.
I think if you just had them in your possession, it was 1.
Yeah, if you just had the objective and you could have it anywhere, it was worth 1.
Any non-infantry could pick up infantry. That's important. Yeah, but any unit could hold the downed Karnov for extra points.
So the Karnov was a static objective, and the rest were got to take him home.
Yep, correct.
All right, and how'd the games go?
I played Trevor. I don't have a last name for this one.
Sorry, Trevor.
Sorry, Trevor. He had an Atlas, a King Crab, and then a Shadowhawk, a Sentinel, a Spider, and a Locust. So 2 heavy hitters, and then a bunch of fast, light guys. For this one, I, as the clan, I was capturing the infantry, and so he was supposed to be rescuing them. That's how we played it in our little mental mind game. This was an interesting one. I was definitely playing the points, and he was reacting to what I was doing, I felt. Mm-hmm. So at a certain point, like I was keeping the math in my head. So I was picking up some units, but I wasn't taking them directly off of my table edge. So I was carrying them around a while. And that way I could also contend with the Karnov and not let him have the Karnov the whole time while I was using my faster guys to pull people out. So then at a certain point, I'm just, we tally up the points, and there's no way he can get more points than me at this point. And that's when we just ended the game.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it was just if you play the objectives right, then the math works out in your favor. And then once I start pulling my people off and getting the 5-point bonuses, and there's not enough turns left for him to make up that deficit by holding onto the Karnov or taking off like the remaining infantry on his side.
By the book.
So it was close, but I think it ended up being like 19 to 16. And once we got to that and there were no more points, there was no point in continuing.
Yeah.
So it was a tough game. It was that one was not an easy one, but my mechs did what they were supposed to, and I pulled out a win for that one.
Josh, how about your game?
Yeah. How do you do, Josh?
Oh man. So this was the mission that I was both most, I don't want to say, no, I don't. It wasn't that I was most scared about. This was the mission that I was most thinking about when I was building my list, because 1 center objective that you need to hold and 4 objectives that you need to take. And I was like, I can do 1 really well, but the other one's always going to struggle. So when we played this in our practice games, I kind of realized, don't overcommit to like the objectives on the enemy side. I was like, secure yours. Get the points that you know you can get first, and worry about your opponent making mistakes later.
Exactly. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I played John Trejo and his Ghost Bears, second Ghost Bears of the tournament for me. And they had a Kodiak, a Arctic Cheetah, a Loki B, a Thor H, a Mist Lynx D, and 5 Elementals. So yeah, we were fighting a binary. So this was
full binary.
Yeah. So this was numbers versus numbers for this game.
Yeah, 5 Elementals versus 4 infantry units.
I will say his battle armor was skill 6 because, he had 1 unit of skill 5. But yeah, like still hurts. Hurts. When you only have short range, like micro pulse laser ones, like they only have short range. They don't need medium damage or medium range.
No.
So yeah, this was a rough game for me, just because I was like, okay, I just felt the Kodiak's wrath. I don't want to feel it again. And he was just running it right up the middle, like you should, and he was using it for his last initiative roll, which is the right move. So turn 1, I get my Hermes on an objective, like in an infantry objective, and I was like, cool, that's what the Mercury is designed to do. 20 inches, it'll get into woods in the middle of the board. It doesn't care. It's going to get there. And he couldn't kill it. So for turn 2, it's completely off the board. with the objective. I was like, mission accomplished. I got 5 points. Like, yeah, you can't get me now. Turn 2, he drops all of his units with their battle armor on the objective. So I was like, oh god, this is the end. But my Raijin was able to sneak out with another infantry. So I was like, okay, I've secured my 2 objectives. Now I just need to fight them on their objectives. Like,
yep.
My brain is already just like cooling down. Like the hard part's over. I can't get the Karnov middle objective because he literally will outweigh me with all of his elementals, and I can't get my infantry onto the Karnov because it's in woods, and my hovercraft cannot go in woods.
Yep.
I was like, oh no. I made a extreme tactical, like the hardest choice of the entire tournament was on turn 3 when he had I had 1 initiative. He had a 1 point or 1 health Arctic Cheetah with an objective with battle armor in his deployment zone, or a Kodiak with toe in woods and an open rear. Like,
ooh,
like his back was to me. I think about this one at night still. What do you go for? Do you go for the like supreme, like it's the damage dealer, like 7 short at skill 3. It will nuke every like one of my mechs a turn. Or do I go for the 1 point objective TMM 3? Because I think he just walked it. He didn't need a jump. I was like, oh god, I don't know.
I mean, I'm new to tournaments, so I always default to playing the objective. I would have gone after the cheetah.
I mean, I would have gone with the Kodiak.
You're going with the objective if you go after the Kodiak too, because it's bullying the middle.
Yeah,
I'm going for the longer game. Like what can I do later? It's the point. Like how many points did each people have? How many turns were left? All that stuff has to be taken into account for these decisions.
I could easily kill the Arctic Cheetah and then with the rest of the infantry, kill the battle armor. Like they have 4 health, so I only need to land 2 more hits, and then the hovercraft can take the objective. I've got 15 points, and 15 when you can only score 3 per turn on the middle objective. I was like, okay, that's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I could maybe, because there was still 1 infantry objective left and the center Karnov objective. I was like, okay. I decide to put the infantry into the back of the Kodiak, and that was the extremely right move. But not because of the tactics, but because of just how the dice work. So
you got another set of good rolls with the infantry in the back of the Kodiak.
And the infantry do heat damage. It's
that
so
is
nice.
Important.
I won initiative, so I got to do the last shots. He decided to shoot with the Kodiak pretty early on to see if he could, blow something off, and the rest of everyone focused. He decides to hurt my Black Knight real bad because, well, it's, a Black Knight 9 on the center objective. It's got 2-inch melee and it can overheat for 7. Like, it's pretty much designed to do exactly that. He overheats for 2. I hit him with 1 infantry unit and I do 1 heat. I then hit him with 1 other infantry unit and I get a crit and I get engine hit.
Oh boy.
And we determined, me and him at the table, the engine hit is same turn, just like classic. As in, heat is applied at the end of the turn, which means at the next turn,
it's at 4 heat.
He's at 4 heat. So he is immobile, shut down at the start of next turn. That was a rule of contention. We brought it onto the Discord. NC Kestrel from the Alpha Strike rules writing says that is how it is done.
That you made the correct call.
Yes, because things like fire control says subsequent turn. Engine heat is just like classic, isn't that? You hit, and if they shot that turn, then heat is applied at the end of the turn.
Right. Engine hits happen at the end of the turn in classic. It makes sense for it to happen in here if you fired, and you did, and he did. So
he was shut down, and I was like, this is almost better than killing him outright.
Yeah. Is you don't have to waste the firepower on it anymore.
Exactly. I mean, I could put stupid shots like my Raijin, which was going to jump off the table, decided, you know what? I'm going to take this 23-inch shot at this immobile Kodiak. Oh, what's that? I'm a skill 4 at -4, and it's just +3, so I need 4s to hit.
Why not?
Yeah. You know what? I'll overheat too. It's free real estate.
It's free real estate.
So yeah, that was key. And like I said, it was a lucky roll. We then played we can't shoot if we want to take the objective. We can contest it, but if we shoot, we completely give up, the chance of taking. So my Phoenix Hawk and my Wolverine were kind of dancing with his Thor on who could be the last one on the objective without getting shot. The whole time I'm getting literally shot to pieces by short range battle armor. It was painful. It was very painful.
Sorry, those were not heat elementals, though, right? They were just micropulse?
They were just micropulse. So 2 damage short, and that's it. That was when I measured the Karnov and was like, oh, there's this one gap that I can put my hovercraft
Pegasus?
in. My Pegasus. It can't go in the woods, but as long as he's within 2 inches of the objective. So there's a little section. I slide him in there. I was like, oh, I have one more unit. Because by this point, I've ran all my infantry into the woods. He's killed them all mercilessly with battle armor, just like how it should happen. And they're like I said, they're skill 6
just
battle
as
armor.
Blake intended,
but it's short ranged infantry. It's easy. So that game came down to it. Once I killed the Kodiak and once I stole the 3rd infantry objective, it was kind of downhill from there for him.
That was a fun mission. Like that, the mission design. When I say fun, I mean very chaotic. And you don't always know who's going to win until right at the end. A lot of mental calculations going on, at least on my game, throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, this was a slow shooting game for me. We went to turn 8 on that. And I just killed his last battle armor unit on turn 7. It took a while for me to get through it. But yeah, so that was a win for me. That was a brain drain game, and it was a great. And John, thank you again for playing it with me.
And Denham, you won as well, right?
Yeah, yes, I did.
Okay. So you ready to move on to the final mission?
Yeah. This one was cool.
So you said your commander comes into play, kind of, in this one?
Not even kind of, but in a big way.
Do tell.
So for all the previous missions, the commander was just the tiebreaker. Essentially, if your commander mech was dead and it came down to a tiebreaker, then your opponent would take the win. Mm-hmm. So this one was Experimental Bachal. So this mission had one objective in the middle, and it could be only picked up by mech units. You could pick it up just like all the others, move on to it, don't shoot, don't do anything. And, once you have the objective, then you can do everything except sprint. To score, the objective had to be within 10 inches of your table edge. It could either be held by a mech or dropped with no enemy mechs within 2 inches, and you gain 8 points. And I was like, that's a lot of points.
It is.
Yeah.
That's a lot of points.
During each turn, the commander mech could nominate an enemy unit that the commander is fired upon as a threat focus for the turn. If the unit is destroyed during that turn by any of your forces, you earn 1 point.
Also interesting.
Yeah. So that's call targets, essentially. And Bachal, if your commander mech deals the final blow to the opposing commander, resulting in that unit being destroyed, gain 5 points.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now, the twist on this mission is we had 6 uses of full rerolls.
Whoa.
If your commander had line of sight on a friendly unit who was shooting at an enemy mech, he was allowed to reroll all of his attacks. Right. And the commander was never allowed to reroll, just the other units in his command.
Force. Yeah. Yeah. So that was a complicated, wordy mission. It was a good mission. It was just complicated for the bonus stuff. The actual scoring stuff was pretty straightforward.
All right. And how did your games go?
So I fought against Mark Daly. He had a scary force. His commander was a Crusader, and then he had a Night Gear, an Ontos heavy tank. And then he had 2 Fire Moths, both with the same Flamer elementals that I had. And then he also had a Viper bouncing around causing trouble.
Is that Fire Moth H?
No, neither of them were. One
Regulars.
was a B and one was a prime.
Okay.
Right. So they both had medium range damages, but they were just elemental fairies. And they did their job super well. This was the mission where I'm very happy that I picked the mongrel as my commander, because that meant that I could re-roll my Timberwolf with his 7 damage at short or medium. Pretty much once a round if I needed to.
Did you have to re-roll all the dice?
Yeah, it's all or nothing. So,
okay.
So yeah, you can't pick and choose. It's if you didn't like how it went, you just re-roll the whole thing, and then you're stuck with that.
Okay.
So basically, if I had decent shots, but I missed more than half of them, I would do a re-roll.
There you go.
And then just hope for better. And sometimes it worked out well. But let's see. So I picked the right commander for this one. That Ontos came out though, and on turn 2. I got a crit with my Timberwolf and killed the crew. And so it was just dead. And then my mobility with my jump 14 Grendel, I was able to jump my infantry behind his commander. And I attacked with the infantry first, and then I finished him off with my commander, and that got me a quick 5 points. I mean, I'm sorry, Mark. You were there. It was the rolls. Like I lost the initiative for the first 4 turns, but by like turn 5 or 6, he only had 2 units left, and it was a bloodbath. Super exciting, but I think accidentally taking out that Ontos so early, like that was his whole backbone. And if he had been able to sit there and re-roll his 7s on that every turn, it would have been a very different game. So I had a lot of fun, and Mark was in good humor during the entire thing, and he's a good guy.
And Josh, how about your game?
I played Matt, who had beat Denham earlier on the previous day, and his Ghost Bears. So I think that's what three Ghost Bear lists against me.
Did they have a Kodiak?
He did not have a Kodiak. He had a Kingfisher.
Okay,
Yeah.
Kingfisher's also nasty.
Yeah.
The Kingfisher that wouldn't die in my game. God, I tried so hard.
Yeah. So his big damage dealers were the Kingfisher and the linebacker, each doing 7 damage. And then he had the 2 dragonflies that, while not doing as much damage, can get pretty much anywhere they want.
Yep.
So now he's got 2 big damage dealers and full re-rolls if he wants them. Thankfully, the Kingfisher is his commander, so he can't re-roll those 7 damage.
Yeah.
I think the only thing left in his list was that Hunchback 2C2. Oh, man. This was... Going into this match, I knew this would be my hardest mission, just because my commander, quote unquote, is a Kentaro. Like, it's TMM2. It's got what?
Doesn't
7?
jump.
It doesn't jump. It's got like 8 health. It's nothing to write home about, like in a good way or bad way. So I'm like, okay, the big thing of this is the commander. I have to do the last shots on the Kingfisher. I was like, no, I can't do that. I'm not even gonna try. The other thing was I can at least mark a couple targets with the Kentaro. Like the Kentaro was good at 4 damage. Like I essentially played the Kentaro behind, like in partial cover, all of my games, and no one had killed it because I've got Wolverine, Phoenix Hawk, Raijin, and a Black Knight in front of it. Those are all much better, more scarier targets. Can get behind you, can get melee, can overheat, like all this bad stuff. And the Kentaro is just there, so it's not actually a good priority target, which is why I made it my commander. On this one, I pretty much was like, okay, everybody in the middle. That's what I designed this list to do. So the Mercury goes in, gets on the objective turn 1, and I've got the Wolverine, Phoenix Hawk, Raijin, and ShadowHawk all in the woods right next to it because they can't move as far. And he spends all of his shots, kills the Mercury turn 1. I was like, yeah, I figured. I mean, it's only TMM4, and there's no line of sight blocking terrain between your deployment and mine. Fine.
A worthy sacrifice.
Yeah. If the Mercury can't grab the objective, it can at least take the fire for a turn. So there is that. All of my shots go wild. I can't hit anything. Like I couldn't kill the Dragonfly that I was trying to shoot down with my entire force. So I was like, okay, fine. He kills the Mercury. I get in better position for turn 2, which is when the rest of my units hop on the objective. So turn 2, he puts 2 dragonflies on it. I put Wolverine,
4?
Phoenix Hawk, Raijin, and ShadowHawk pretty much on it. He realizes he cannot out-ton me on the objective, so he's like, you know what? I just need to prevent you from grabbing it for a turn, and next turn I'm hopping off of it, because the Black Knight's then going to be in melee range, and the Gintaro's in a good firing line. At this point, I think he had killed both the units that he had marked, so he's gotten 2 points, and I've gotten 1. I was like, okay, that's good. I put the infantry behind the Dragonfly. I shoot. I think I do 2 damage, but nothing crazy. But now I've got my squad of infantry like kind of screening his big heavy hitters, which can't jump. So he bails from the objective. I get it with the ShadowHawk, which is my most tanky unit. It doesn't. All those mechs are really the same. It's just the ShadowHawk has more health and it has case. So it's my most defensive lineman. I think that's the better way to put it. So at that point, I'm finding a tactical retreat because I just need to get this objective to my home edge. Yeah, no, it was a very rough game. I killed the 1 dragonfly that turn. The next thing I kill is the Ghost Hawk, which had jumped into woods, and I was like, okay, that's the closest thing. So everyone in range can shoot it. He was essentially killing one of my mechs a turn, and I was killing half of a mech a turn. That game came down to it when I finally put all my infantry back in the hovercraft, got around, dropped it at the Hunchback 2C, and just got the straight up kill on that.
Nice.
So, because he was doing the overheat for 7, then jump to get. Yeah, I was like, yeah, Matt's smart. Matt did this against Denham. P.S. You don't realize that, but when you overheat, or when you have heat to subtract your TMM for walking, you do not subtract it for jumping. So he would have gotten TMM 2. So that was one thing we learned after the game.
That's like classic. You can still jump.
For the full TMM, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the heat rules for Alpha Strike just aren't written well. So we have a lot of questions and confusion at that part of the game. But by the end of it, my Kintaro is dead. He did not read that part clearly where the commander has to do the final kill.
Right. Yeah.
And that was the only thing. I won initiative on the last turn, which means I could put the ShadowHawk anywhere outside 2 inches of his Kingfisher and his linebacker.
Right. So even if it dies, it's fine. It still wins.
Yeah, I just had to get it back to my zone, essentially. Yeah, that was, by the end of it, my ShadowHawk was there, and my Black Knight had like 1 health left. And that was game. That was turn 8, so we played the full game.
Yeah, I do remember the commander thing because I was in my guy's Mark's rear with my infantry, and he had like 2 points left, and I rolled with the infantry, and I only hit 1. I'm like, oh, if I hit 2, I'd kill you. I'm going to re-roll, and then I'm like, wait, no, I'm not. My commander now is going to shoot at you, and I did the 2 damage with the commander, and
got the 8 points.
Ended up with the 5 points for that. Yeah. It was intense. It was fun. It was, a lot of adrenaline for those 2 days. A lot of adrenaline.
Yeah.
Yeah. That last mission was definitely like brain is working on overdrive. Like I'm counting brain cells that are dying per minute, essentially. And I'm rationing them out for 8 turns.
I could like taste color by the end of it.
Yeah. See smells. But I eke out that one just because I was able to win that initiative on that last turn. Matt was impressive to play. I don't think if he had won initiative on the last turn, I probably wouldn't have won it.
And Denham, you get a win on your last game?
I did.
Okay.
So by the end of
it's all over now.
Yeah, by the end, I've got 4 wins and a tie, and Denham has 4 wins and a loss.
Yep.
So
Mechbay, first and second.
Yeah, so I take the gold, Denham takes the silver, and Matt, who we had both played, takes the bronze.
Nice.
Yeah, it was intense.
But good overall, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. By the end of it, I was very, very pleased to have gone. I needed to learn more Alpha Strike because it's just going to get bigger. And this was a fantastic crash course. I'm happy to see that as long as you know the rules, tactics are still tactics. Solid tactics will win you a game. So,
all right. So you guys have any like closing thoughts on the tournament? And any things you would like to change with, I don't know, the format?
My clothing, my closing thoughts and what I would like to change are pretty much the same. I think that the missions, while fun, needed to be gone over with a finer comb beforehand. Maybe have a few more people look over it and refine it before it gets sent out to everybody. None of the problems were like major, and we were able to work through everything, but a more professional once over would have made all the difference, I think. And Josh, you?
I'm trying to think. I liked everything. I mean, I won. I can't, complain because it all worked in my advantage, or, or I swam upstream and got there. I like the tables. I like the terrain. They were using all their Steel Rift terrain, which was actually really good for line of sight blocking. Like perfect. Like it's all rectangular and square.
There were no questions. Correct.
No questions about cover. Never.
Nice.
Nobody had any arguments about, well, is it 1/3 or 3/3 or 2/3 or what? No, it was all, everyone's like, this looks like this. And everyone's like, yep, that's what I see.
Yeah. Cause I was still recovering from a, glass in the foot actuator. So I was like, you know what? I'm not even standing for half these games. And he's like, oh, do I have line of sight? I'm like, sure. Doesn't really matter. But like I said, terrain was great. Tables looked amazing. What would I change? With my list, I would probably get rid of the Phoenix Hawk B or 1BC. That was a nice looking mech. It was a thematic mech. Didn't really do anything because the Ryzen just did it so much better. For, 3 points more. I get 1 more in short and the ability to overheat for 2. And that was pretty worth it when you're paying for this Narc of the Phoenix Hawk, which never really came into play, and the ECM, which also never came into play. So I'd get rid of the Phoenix Hawk and trade it for something either lighter and faster or lighter and heavier damage.
Denham, anything you'd change on your list?
Yeah, I mean, after playing some of these other missions or other armies, I would probably swap out the Ice Ferret for that Fire Moth H, and that would give me 14. That would give me 14 more points to work with, to either add another unit or upgrade a few other things, and that would give me, a mech with a TMM of 4 as an elemental delivery system. So I don't know what I'd do with those 14 points, but I've been thinking about it.
Infantry. Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
I think that was.
There's a thing. Closing thought. Yes. Infantry with heat ability. I think that was so key in so many different engagements. Like infantry themselves are okay, but when you can get something that does just a little bit of damage in someone's rear with heat, and you can hit them with multiple of those if you need to, that it throws the other army into such disarray that just the confusion alone is worth that extra point if you're bringing elementals, because it's 19 for normal, it's 20 for heat for flamers.
Yeah,
and it just I feel that those were my MVPs throughout most of the games I played were the flamer battle armor. That's what I feel.
And just to clarify, the rules have been updated. You can no longer load units into a unit, drive across the map, and then drop them off.
That is correct.
Only one change per turn.
And I brought that up just because I was like, I need the TO to know this. That I was like, I don't know if they are aware of the July errata / FAQ to Alpha Strike. I think that would fall under the errata.
They were
5.01. So I was like, hey, Justin, I just want to make sure that you're aware of the few key things in 5.01. The biggest one, I was like, I'm still reading this through. I'm not an expert on it, but I know the biggest change, which is going to affect my list, is that my infantry can either embark or disembark. They can't do both in a turn. So
this will make me like Alpha Strike 50% more.
The errata and the rules that came up have made me feel a lot better about Alpha Strike in general. I was getting very frustrated with some of the rules when I was learning how to play. But the ones I had the most problem with had been changed, and it feels a lot better now. I'm at the end of this tournament, I can say that I was enjoying playing Alpha Strike, which I did not think that I would enjoy. I thought it was just something that I would do every now and again. And now it's like something that sometimes I may want to do. Nice. Not often. I'm still a classic player, but I am not opposed to playing Alpha Strike for fun now instead of just for have to.
Everyone goes to a tournament and they're like, this isn't so bad after, 2 days, 5 games.
I learned a lot. Yeah.
No, I think that's the big thing. I'd like to personally thank Death Ray Designs for putting on the Alpha Strike tournament. So I can imagine that wrangling the first Battletech event at the NOVA Open with NOVA Open not being held the year before. So it's, kind of everything is, what is it? The train is running and the tracks are being laid down right in front of it kind of thing. So I would like to personally thank Justin and Austin and them for putting that on, running it, and dealing with all of us asking general Alpha Strike questions the entire time. I would like to thank Fortress Miniatures and Games and Ares Games and Miniatures for the prize support. And I think everybody went home with something that they could either assemble or put on the table, which is always a great feeling. So thank you to the event organizers and the prize donators.
I thank everybody too, all of them, what he said.
I did have a couple people bring this up. I would like to see our listeners message us if you would like to go to NOVA in next year in 2023, and if you would like to play Classic or Alpha Strike. Because I had a few people like, hey, we're a primarily Classic play group, but I heard it was going to be here and maybe it could get a game of Classic in. So if you would want NOVA 2023 to be Classic, email me, message me, do something, or 2020. Or if you'd like it to be Alpha Strike, let us know. I'm trying to think. So I guess the next big tournament to wait for is Southern Assault on November 5th, right, Dustin?
That's right. Except for my tournament October 9th, but that's Classic.
Ooh.
It's not going to be as big, but that's okay. Rob puts on fun. A great tournament.
Yeah, because Nova was awesome, but Southern Assault, amazing.
That's the tippy top.
Yeah. You're doing it right when your tournament held in the school gymnasium is making Nova Open and LVO look like second rate.
That's right.
So I want everyone who's even remotely interested in learning to play Alpha Strike or just wanting to hang out. That's the big thing. Even if you don't like Alpha Strike, you can still play Alpha Strike, have fun, and meet some other Battletech people. Right, Denham?
What's the word I'm looking for, Josh?
Begrudging?
Convert?
No, not begrudging. Not even a convert. I'm not an example, but I'm living proof that even diehard classic grognards can, in fact, enjoy Alpha Strike.
I'm happy for you, Denham.
I'm happy for me too, and more importantly, it's the friends we made along the way.
Who's going to wrap this one up? Who's going to send us home?
Somebody else tomorrow?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to our recap of the NOVA Open Battletech Tournament hosted by Death Ray Designs. If you'd like to show your support, you can purchase any Death Ray Design terrain, mechs, or vehicles and infantry at both Fortress Miniatures and Games and Ares Games and Minis. You can catch us next time where we talk all about catching hands, catching feet, and catching all the melee weapons in Battletech.